Roundup, you know the roundup, that's the review. This here a little show for the preview. We do the research, so you don't have to. You get the picture like the image from a capture. The podcast is proliferating with the proper picks. Profit sure to hit. Money if you stop and click, go ahead lock it in. Go on and get some easy dough. Lazy Danger, Dave and Austin, dog, and it's the preview show.
What is going on, bleeders? Lazybed here, coming at you quick for a bite-sized edition of the Just Bleed Radio preview show. We're jumping in headlong to UFC Fight Night Namajunas versus Cortez, live from the Ball Arena in Denver, Colorado. So let's have ourselves a mile-high moment and get right to it. First up, we'll work our way from the bottom to the top and kick things off with the opening bout of the night, where 13-2 Montel Jackson meets 14-6-1 Damone Blackshear in the red-hot UFC bantamweight division. Despite the minimal name value, Quick Montel Jackson has amassed an impressive 7 wins against only 2 losses during his run in the promotion. The 32-year-old will meet Fayetteville, North Carolina's DeMonsta Damone Blackshear. Damone has gone 2-2-1 inside the octagon, but he is the owner of one of only 3 twister submissions in UFC history. Neither of these guys has ever been finished in their fight careers, so I wouldn't look for that trend to change now, despite them both having substantial KO power for the 135-pound division. Blackshear seems to lose primarily to heavy and constant pressure, and at 32, I'm not sure Jackson can bring the necessary pace to secure a decision win. Give me DeMonsta here, but don't be surprised if we go to Splitty City. Next! This ought to be a good one, folks. Sticking with the smaller fellas, we move into the flyweight division, where 10-1 rising prospect, the fearless Joshua Van, collides with 15-6 UFC veteran Charles Energy Johnson. It's Missouri versus Texas, as St. Louis's Johnson comes into this one on a quick turnaround after having defeated Jake Hadley back on May 11th in a hometown showing. Energy is on a 2-fight win streak, but he sits at 500 in the big show with a 4-4 UFC record overall. Houston's Joshua Van, on the other hand, is a fiery 22-year-old flyweight contender, entering the contest on an 8-fight win streak, unbeaten after suffering the only loss of his young career via RNC all the way back in December of 21. Sure, he's spent less time facing elite talent, but there's a certain something to this kid Van that's hard to put your finger on. Johnson is another guy who has never been finished, tough as leather to say the least, but I think Van is going to have a lot more tools on his belt to get the job done. Give me Joshua Van by a UD here with the possibility of a TKO stoppage late in the fight. Next up, skipping ahead to the featured prelim of the night, I presume, this card is fucking weird as shit. We stick with a recurring theme of recent UFC programming, a late notice replacement fight. Lord Assassin John Silva attempts to do the incredible as he competes in his second fight in as many weeks, when he clashes with divisional favorite Drew Dober in a lightweight brawl. If you recall, Silva missed weight in his bout at UFC 303 against Charles Jourdain, but he did score a massive KO victory against the Canadian. Alas, Lord Silva steps into the cage once again to replace Mike Davis as Dober's short-notice fill-in. Silva is a product of Brazil's fighting nerds, still just 27 years old and riding high on a 10-fight unbeaten streak with a 13-2 record overall. Dober has an unfortunate and deceptive 27-13 career record, with many of those losses coming against tough opponents in the shark tank that is 155. While the rapid turn from one fight to another should give me some pause, what makes me worry more for Silva is the savvy of the veteran Dober. However, I think Silva's body should feel even better up a weight class here from featherweight, especially seeing as he failed to make 145 to begin with, which could lead to an even more eager-to-engage style on his behalf. I do not envision this one going the distance, and Drew Dober has proven susceptible to a well-placed power shot. Give me Lord Assassin Jean Silva by second round KO. Moving on, boy, they knew what they were doing with this one. Opening fight of the main card, aka the Curtain Jerker, 11-1 Rufus Sport MMA product Christian C-Rod Rodriguez will lock horns with the absolute dirty old junkyard dog that is Julian Juicy J. Erosa. This one is certain to be an absolute scrap from bell to bell, and I'd not be the least bit surprised if you're looking at the fight of the night right here. Erosa, fighting out of Extreme Couture, is no slouch whatsoever, regardless of his 29-11 career record, a long and rangy striker as a 6 foot 1 inch featherweight with deceptive grappling. I think we're looking at a clear example of a classic litmus test fight here to gauge exactly what the UFC has with Rodriguez. Not to imply that Arosa is merely a gatekeeper, but despite his skills, he is notoriously a bit of a benchmark matchup for up and coming contenders. Given his penchant for getting clipped, I don't like Juicy J's chances against the younger, sharper C-Rod. I'm not going to go finish, but I'll take Christian Rodriguez by unanimous decision. Next, we got a little welterweight war here where 15-1 Gabriel Bonfim looks to bounce back from his first career loss last November when he matches up against the 10-3 Ange Lusa. You may remember Lusa from his post-fight scuffle after an eye poke no contest against Brian Battle back in March. Ange Lusa is a 30-year-old tank of a man fighting out of Switzerland by way of the Democratic Republic of Congo with notoriously heavy hands, having finished 50% of his career wins by knockout. Bonfim prefers to snatch up his finishes by submission, but he has no shortage himself with 12 career subs. Lusa is a very tough, durable man with not much of a neck. He's never been caught by a submission in his 13 fights, but I'm not convinced he's ever faced a BJJ artist the caliber of Bonfim. I think we're going to see a highly motivated Gabriel Bonfim looking for a finish against an Ange Lusa who has shown questionable wrestling and gas tank if he can't land those power shots. Give me Gabriel Bonfim in this one by submission in the first. One word hope. Second to the last fight of the night, your co-main event. Couple of middle-aged uncles ready to duke it out in Denver. We got 37 versus 40 when Santiago Ponzinibbio throws down with Muslim Salikov. The Russian king of Kung Fu, Salikov, I almost said Kung Fu, enters with a 19-5 record, just 6-4 in the UFC, having lost 2 in a row. The Argentine dagger Ponzinibbio has 29 wins against 7 losses, being 11-6 within the UFC. He too comes in off a loss in his most recent outing when he was viciously KO'd by Kevin Holland in April of last year. This fight has the feeling of a quintessential coin flip co-main. Aging fighters at this stage in their careers are habitually hard to predict. While typically disciplined, they're often very up and down. I wouldn't fault you regardless of which side you fall on this one, but if I had to choose, I'm going to go with Ponzinibbio. If he keeps his punches straight, I can see him getting a KOW late in round 2. And last shout, the main event you always knew you never wanted, a short notice women's flyweight fill-in. Former champion, the 12-6 Thug Rose Namajunas, meeting 11-1 fan favorite Tracy Cortez. A bout that was previously scheduled to be Namajunas versus Barber until Macy was forced to pull out with some ongoing health problems. In steps Cortez, who had been slated to face Miranda Maverick just 1 week later. The 32-year-old Thug Rose comes into this fight after a recent win over Amanda Hebos in March. Cortez, unbeaten in her last 11 fights, hasn't competed since last September when she earned a decision victory over Jasmine Jasdavicius. If wishes were vicious, this one would end early and violently. Unfortunately, it could very well end up a snooze fest. A glance at the records would tell you Namajunas is a bit more of a proven finisher, but those finishes have been few and far between in recent years. Cortez only comes in with 2 career finishes and has a tendency to get most of her wins in dogfights. If there's one skill Rose remains good at, it's dictating pace and avoiding pressure. Typically. A lot of question marks surround Rose's mindset, as has often been the case throughout her career. That being said, I think her technical nature will be just a bit too much for Cortez to overcome. Begrudgingly, give me Rose Namajunas by unanimous decision. Yep, that's gonna just about put a bow on this here bite-sized edition of the JBR preview show. Hopefully you all got a few insights you hadn't yet considered. My advice, while fantastic, is that of a complete casual. Alas, these selections are not legally binding. So take of that what you will. We're churning out the fresh hot content nonstop over here at Just Bleed Radio, so do us a favor and hit that like and subscribe on the way out. It is greatly appreciated. Until next time, folks, I'm out of here. Peace. Hey, Craig. Hey, motherfucker. Fuck you, bitch. You a little hoe, Craig. Craig, you bitch.
You get the picture like the image from a caption. The podcast.
Fuck you, Lazybed.
Money if you stop and click, go ahead, lock it in. Go and get some easy dough. Lazy Danger, Dave and Austin, dog, and it's the preview show.